Good morning. Morning, RFG. Good morning. All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Engineering the Markets. Happy Thursday to everybody. And as always, my name is Jared. It is June 2nd, 2022. Let's take a look at where we sit today and maybe talk about the rest of the week as the market is getting into maybe a slower trading period. We certainly have less earnings to discuss. We have a lot more, I would say, shorter time frame trade to consider. And as the market has hit that kind of key inflection point we discussed yesterday, we'll kind of see what the upside looks like from this bounce, along with where to consider maybe getting net short if we look for another short opportunity in the market. So as I mentioned yesterday, we are sitting at a 38.2 fib retracement from the width of the monthly candles, obviously the lows and highs based around COVID and the all-time high. One thing you can also do here, I'm not going to busy up this chart too much more, but you can start to look at the opposite side of this retracement. And let's just say you're marking from the low, or you're marking from the low that hasn't been closed below, which would be May 12th. So obviously this kind of clutters things up a bit, but you'll notice that the 38.2 on this secondary wave did retrace to a 38.2 on the bounce. So conceptually what this means is right now the market is stalling at an area that can be considered for a weekly bear flag. If you're looking at just the weekly time frame, you would say, yeah, that was a nice bounce. Obviously, it was a very fast bounce off the low. But if that's the highest we go, then the market can chop and churn in between these two ranges and obviously look for more downside based on the size of the retracement. I mean, it definitely was a long, drawn-out downtrend on the weekly. However, as you can see, there's kind of this battle going on because as a bull, you certainly observed the size of the engulfing candle last week, and also the idea that the market can have a wide reaction, a stall, and then of course an expansion above the highs, which makes this level kind of important. Obviously, getting above last week's high would signify some sort of 3 to 4 bar play. The idea that the market has put up some defense, has stalled and consolidated for a period of time, and then obviously looking bullish, you'd want to see a break of 2 days ago high. That would kind of be your inflection point for the breakout. So the S&Ps are really in this kind of paused area for the market. We haven't touched the expected move. We're obviously looking for a little bit of an edge in this area of the market. And just to kind of call out some of yesterday's price activity, what you'll notice is the market was fairly bearish for most of the intraday session. We had a nice breakdown that occurred around 10 market time, and that was based around some of the ISM numbers coming out. We also saw that a lot of key sectors in the S&P were weak in the morning. So whether you're looking at financials, which started off the session with a bit of a 5-minute orb that broke bearish. We had the likes of healthcare, which pretty much only sold off throughout most of the morning until it found some relative lows in the afternoon. And then you look at tech. So tech was a little bit different. If we were looking at the NASDAQ, you'll note that NASDAQ was holding up okay. But as the NASDAQ was struggling to get higher, it was looking behind it and said, hey, where's the rest of my participation? And all it had was tech and consumer discretionaries. That sort of general weakness across the rest of the market, along with the shift that occurred, led for the NASDAQ and tech stocks to actually take a tumble later on. And this is quite notable. Sometimes you can get a little bit of divergence in the market. This is something that we're not seeing as much of recently. The markets are not as correlated. You're not going to have everything moving in one direction anymore. Instead, you get a little bit of some bull, some bear, different sectors performing maybe in different ways. And usually if they can all align at one point in time, that's a very powerful signal for the rest of the market to be trending or moving in one direction. So, that was notable yesterday because tech held up decently, and then obviously it broke down later on. So maybe keep that in mind, because as we are often seeing, certain sectors have been our lead bull sector for a period of time. And fortunately, what's has been trending continues to be in an uptrending market. So a lot of us have been looking at XLE. Very simple thesis here. This market is in a bullish uptrend. Usually it's going to have pullbacks to the 20 or the 50 period, at which point you can set up swing style call verticals, buying calls, selling put debit spreads, whatever you need to do. But basically looking to get long a market on pullbacks. And obviously that has been quite successful this entire year. You can also look at something like XOP, which for those unfamiliar is the oil and gas exploration for the spiders. This is one that is also bullish, but is seeing different chop and different setups in regards to when the bull cases happen. Usually what you're looking for is that confirmation of a breakout. And the easiest thing you can say is that once you get above your moving averages, whatever candle provides that high and then the setup on a higher low, that's going to usually trigger the breakout once you get above the previous highs. The concept there is that usually when you're in chop, you get a lot of energy built up into your market, whether it be bulls and bears setting up shorts and longs, usually at the inflection points. So, conceptually, you can think, here's where more bears might lie, here's where bulls might lie. Okay, these bulls got somewhat rewarded, but these bears might be out. So new bears, new bulls, back and forth, lots of chop, compression in the price range. And for those who maybe use indicators, something like a TTM squeeze will give you a clue as to whether or not this market is ready to break. Usually what you'll see is that compression starts to compress things like Keltner channels and Bollinger Bands into them trading within each other. And that signals the idea that a squeeze is forming. In this case, this is a daily squeeze that fired bullish about a week ago. And the release of energy is what, as a trader, you want to be trading, because a directional bias requires that energy to continue and basically not pull back immediately. So always be looking for these opportunities, because the energy sector continues to be in focus. It is a market that is impacting a lot of people, whether you're looking directly at crude and you're just saying, okay, this market isn't necessarily in an all-out uptrend, but a lot of the bias has been to the long side. We're still making higher highs and higher lows on shorter term uptrends. And even though we haven't breached that sell swing back in March, what you're noticing is we also haven't really drawn down much as well. Same idea with natural gas. This is one that continues to be in focus. Remember, we're looking at monthly inflections back historically, drawing all the way back to 2002. So the pricing here is a very historical analysis, but it showcases, the type of environment we're in. This is where higher volatility lives. Lower volatility tends to sit whenever the market is in a stable or more or less accumulative type phase, but the release of that type of energy is very powerful, whatever the catalyst may be to release something like a breakout. So keep this in mind, because it is still uptrending. It had a chance to maybe break down. Here is a possibility where the trend could have been lost. But as you can see, we've realigned to the 20. We're already coming back into higher highs. And then last but not least, gasoline. So This one is kind of interesting for maybe future swing setups. This particular market is not only bullish relative to other energy products, but when you're looking back in time, this is a market that's made new all-time highs. So as far as gas prices are concerned, is it extended? Sure. It is also one that has not pulled back. And so far, this has led to the highest gas prices we've seen in a lot of states. Excuse me. So let me go ahead and get some water. This is not going to stop. So what all this means is, as a trader, whether you're using the futures products as ways to get exposure, whether you're using an ETF to basically just kind of minimize picking the right companies for trade, or let's say you're more interested in specific names, ones that are more volatile and maybe have potential for more upside. Some name examples: Valaris, Valero, common energy names. You have Exxon and Chevron. These are going to be your key names for XLE. And then just kind of going down the list, you pull up something like a list of stocks inside of the XOP. That is something where you can start to cherry pick swing candidates for trade. All of these become opportunities, and as you go through the list, what you'll notice is that most of them have a net bullish lean to them. Really doesn't matter which one you're targeting, because the entire energy market is in a bullish uptrend. That is something that, at least in the short term, is going to continue until we see a change in the market sentiment. And that is obviously indicated more or less by trend changes, which we have not gotten. So keep all this in mind, whether you've been participating or not in the energy bull market this year. This is something for the history books. It's something to look back on. And whether you're learning how to trade, trying to understand, the best way to trade, as a directional bias trader, one of the easiest things you can have is wind at your back. A trending market, one where you get long with the right strategy and the right time exposure anytime the market pulls back in an uptrend. You get long, you take profit whenever you go back to your highs, and then you often save a little piece in case you get parabolic. And that's when you move far extended from your moving averages. So whether or not we're seeing some topping action is going to be up for maybe some future analysis. You'll notice that things are very much extended on a lot of time frames. Whether you're looking weekly or monthly, this market's getting a little long in the tooth. What we'll need to see is probably those high exhaustion volume signals, and that's going to lead to potentially months of consolidation whenever that does occur. Doesn't necessarily mean bearish, but oftentimes when you get the highs printed on a trend, that's where the market tends to form a much wider trading range, usually more distributive at that point in time instead of directional. So keep all this in mind as we continue to monitor the energy trade, and obviously look forward to taking part in it whenever you get the opportunity for pullbacks. Well, as you can tell, my voice is kind of going away, so I'll go ahead and wrap things up here. It is Thursday, so I'll let y'all just provide some tickers. We'll take a look at them really quickly. I'll use that opportunity to get some more water, and then from there, we'll just look to shift into pre-market prep. So starting off with the Bear Bull chat room, if y'all have got some tickers, we'll take a look. All right, Tesla. Okay, so last we looked at Tesla, I believe we were looking at the lows here. And what we were saying is it's obviously in a downtrend, but it's a bit extended. I'm gonna see if I can get this cough out before I continue. Okay. So the idea behind this was it didn't make sense to get short down here because of how far extended it was. And all we were waiting for was a pullback. We've gotten a pullback. And what you'll notice is the choppiness around the S&P is coinciding with the 20 period on Tesla's downtrend. So whether you want to consider getting short here, if you believe this downtrend will continue, you're likely targeting something like the range low that was set on the bottom, basically the engulfing high of the bounce, or you're targeting that absolute low. One other perspective you might want to take, the size of that retracement. It might not be the right spot to consider the short without a lot of confirmation. One thing I like to do is say this downtrend was formed from wider retracements. So you tend to get wider moves. And then of course, this was a pretty wide downside, expansion. If you want to model it that way, one thing you consider is the size of this was about a couple weeks of bounce. You might get something a little bit higher, but you would probably still be looking short around this price level. Just based on what the chart is saying so far, this market still has a bit of a bearish lean. And even though we bounced a lot, it doesn't mean that it's ready to continue moving higher. We would need the rest of the market to be on its side for that to happen. So keep that in mind. Another thing you could also just kind of wait for is a confirmed trend change on a shorter time frame, and just use the high from those areas to consider getting short. I don't necessarily like the hourly look right now because we're trading above the 200. I much prefer when the look is closer to this, because then you have pretty much everything coinciding. You might have a pullback on the daily and an hourly 200 period rejecting price. And those are typically a bit more easier to manage versus this one here, which, you're kind of using the high from 2 days ago to define your risk. So keep all that in mind and maybe look to see if there's anything else to confirm. Nvidia. Post earnings, I don't really have too much bias on Nvidia. I would have to maybe look at the semis as a whole. Let's be frank here, they're down 50% from their all-time highs, so they are pretty battered and beaten market. As far as bounces are concerned, what do we tend to have? We tend to have, a stall here. We do have the bullish candle, and then maybe a back test of this range. That would be an area to consider getting short. In the meantime, though, trade the short-term momentum, because just like the rest of the market, if we're still in a bullish bounce, if we break in a 3-bar style pattern, the bullish bounce hasn't topped out. So, if you're using the daily, all we've gotten is a stall point. There really hasn't been a clear short signal yet. The only thing I would say to that is we're in a good location for a short to form, because we're only retracing about 8% of the bounce of the downside. So it's one of those things to maybe monitor the short term here, but to be completely honest, this is a market that's still in a downtrend. There's not much here that shows bullish unless you catch bottoms, and that's where it's advantageous to look for maybe those stall points, those inflection areas that can bounce the market, but the downside is still there. It still provides sell swings. So kind of depends on your view on the market too. I'm of the opinion that there's going to be a range that forms pretty shortly. We're not going to be looking as a directional market anymore, and probably more of a range bound market. So obviously that's going to take some time to form. In the meantime, though, don't necessarily think that a short has to break the low. You just want to have some short exposure in the right location for downside. NEO. Let's see. Interesting monthly. So I'm pulling up the monthly here because NEO's testing some monthly highs back in time before the breakout. Interesting monthly. We are sitting slightly above it. And let's pull up a weekly here. So we bounced already on NEO to the 20 period. I'm not interested taking a long here because you're fighting resistance right now. Ideally, you would have been positioned long just using this candle and then catch this bounce. It's coming into earnings. So earnings will shake things up. That's on the 9th. So that's next week. And NEO right now for next week is pricing about a 250 move. So, all right, let's see. Let's pull two from YouTube, Apple. You can see I've got some levels already. Let me take off the study here. I'll identify what these levels are. This high right here is a very important area for Apple. It's a big inflection high that was set historically. There's a lot of interaction around it, and the bounce that occurred formed near it. It obviously undercut it a little bit, but the bounce right here is formed around that area. Another thing I don't like about Apple right now is it's trading at 150. If you are familiar with trading Apple, anytime Apple sits at 150, you don't want it. Basically, it's not a directional stock if it's trading at 150. It tends to stick there. It's a gravity point. Why that happens, not really sure. It's just where a lot of the big money tends to put their value. And I can put that in a more quantitative way. Like I can, instead of it just being an opinion here, look at VPOC. Apple is at VPOC. So do I want to trade Apple at value? Not really. I want to trade Apple when it's far away from value and shoot it towards it, which already happened. Or I want to trade it if it's moving with a setup away from these areas, basically to a new value zone. I think if I pull this back far enough, you'll notice that 150 stands out. You know, no matter how far back I pull it, this area right here is very high in value. I don't like trading it there. So that's my recommendation to basically not consider Apple too much when it's at 150. It's just not a directional trade for the most part. And AMD, I'll kind of say the same thing about AMD. I guess I could leave the volume profile as well. I mean, we are kind of back testing value right now. VPOC. Let me pull this up on a 3-year. That's too much. How about a year? Yeah, 106, 107. That's where most participants are in AMD. I don't know. I think a more clear picture would be if we rejected this area. I know I've got a couple of levels here, but big picture, what has happened on AMD? We traded really high for a long time. We crashed. This is a crash. 164 to 100 is enough of a drawdown to call it a crash. And then we traded a little bit lower, got through earnings, and now we're trading kind of at the midline. So there's this low, this high impact low, another one. The gap that formed, this told you that we were breaking this low. We went lower, and now we're kind of at the highs again. So the question of whether it can recover into this is going to take a little bit of time. The only thing I'll say from a technical sense, I've seen something like this before. Let's go back to MU. Now, MU, completely different It's not necessarily a completely different sector, but let me show you what that can look like, because MU had one of these levels before right there. So there's this high impact sell swing that got tested after a big decline. We undercut it. And then when we got back in, there was a massive rally that occurred. It was a bit unexpected at the time, but that rally brought us all the way back to all-time highs. So will that happen to AMD? I have no idea. It's something you can watch for, because I've seen this story before. The why and the catalyst for it completely different. I'm just talking technicals. But even though it's down so much, AMD and MU was too. This is 90s down to 60s, about a 40% drop. That little undercut there, I really thought MU was heading lower. Everything about it was weak. And then we just broke the downtrend and rallied, for multiple weeks. So something to watch. Otherwise, I really don't have any other synopsis here. You basically are trading at value. Let's see. And then we'll do one more UONE. Okay, this is Urban One. So this is a low float that tends to come into play every once in a while. Looks like it's had a nice rally recently. I've not been tracking this one. I'll just say, you made it to your first target for sure. Whenever you circle the drain like this, you often have a really high sell swing that caused it to dip. You've made it there already. I would not be as interested bullish here. One, because the bull rallies occur from the 20. And this right here needs to be facilitated by momentum every single day. So if you get a stall point, that's often where bears will start kind of piling in. And all they're going to do is probably drive it back down to a rising 20. So, from a technical sense, the bull case here is probably not great at these highs, because you just got over resistance. But if they turn, you're in a really poor location. If that becomes a failed breakout on the first attempt, that's a really poor location for a bull. At the very least, maybe consider waiting for that pullback. And if you still are long bias, look to get long in the pullback using the previous sell swing as your risk. That's how a trending market should trade. You risk here, and then you buy a pullback somewhere over here. So hopefully that makes sense. And the first attempt on a resistance break tends to fail. It typically doesn't go too much farther, even if it does get outside of it. So always be cautious of the first attempt. It's just a technical nuance that tends to be true. Okay. I see there's a few more in the chat. I'll maybe walk through a few of those in BBT. But as always, everybody trade safe. Appreciate everything this week. Stay tuned Monday for more engineering the market, and obviously stay tuned for pre-market prep. We'll look back and see what the rest of the week offers. Keep in mind your expected move. I know we talked about it very briefly, and this chart is getting a little cluttered, but we haven't touched expected move on either side. So downside still sits at about 40.58. And if we do go bullish, 42.59 is our top side. We did have a breach last week, so it's worth considering that we might consolidate this week and not necessarily touch those ranges. But if we do, those numbers are going to be important for the S&P. So with that said, we'll talk more next week, and have a great rest of your trade.
cannot hear you, brother. I don't know if you can hear me.
You know what? Unmuting the button would be nice. There you go. Good morning, man. Good morning.
Brother, how you doing?
Doing good, doing good. Good morning to you all as well, guys. Welcome to PreMarket Prep. I hope you guys are having an amazing morning. Hope you had a great day yesterday. Yeah, let's get to it, guys. A big thumbs up over to Jared for engineering the markets every single morning. So we appreciate his insights as he goes through some of those technicals there. Let's get to our stock from yesterday, our top plays from yesterday. So let's look over here at some of the stuff we had in play. We had AMC, and I'm going to look at our 5-minute here. This thing was hot early on and in the morning, right? It gapped up pretty nice there. And then here, yesterday just had a nice sell-off, like many stocks did. Well, not yesterday, a few days ago. Nice sell-off yesterday, as many of the tech stock did. We'll go through those in a bit. But AMC held on to the 9 moving average and really sold off really nice, guys, really clean. You had to survive this little area here. This was tough, right? Because it sold off, came back up. It seemed almost like it wanted to break some of these highs here. Was not able to do that, then slams right back down. So that was a really nice play there towards the short side. We had Apple on deck as well. Apple, again, very similar stuff that you're going to see on Apple, AMD, Nvidia, and I don't recall Tesla. I didn't look at that one too much yesterday. But Apple, AMD, Nvidia, same thing here, guys. A little bit of a rally at the market open, and then just the sell-off comes in on the Qs, dragging everything else down as far as these tickers. So nice sell-off here. Does try to get to the VWAP almost, and then again, more weakness, breaking the law of the day there and continuing down. So we had some really good opportunities towards the short side here, guys, yesterday. Here is AMD. AMD at the beginning of this was just pure chop, guys. Every candle overlapping the previous one. And these are big moves, by the way. I mean, you're going from 102.25 all the way to 103. So yes, although this in the bigger time frame, a 5-minute might look like chop. If you're trading a smaller time frame, this actually looks pretty good, and you can find opportunities. So just keep that in mind, right? I trade off the 5 minutes, so this to me won't look as great. But if you're trading a smaller time frame, you could have done very well here, from an entry above the VWAP and into that 103.50. So looking good there. It does break out nicely after that towards the downside, breakdown at least. Nice breakdown there below the VWAP, and then you can see the action again. This one, unlike Apple, was able to get to the VWAP and then some, but then rejection coming right in and pushing it right back down to the low of the day and more towards the downside there. A little bit of recovery. Apple didn't recover as much, right? We had a little bit there. AMD almost going to towards the highs of the days there. Here is Nvidia, guys. Similar situation overall with Nvidia. As I mentioned before with AMD and Apple. Tesla, I didn't look at it yesterday. Let's see here. Yeah, pretty much same thing. A little bit rougher start, but nice little drop there, and just everything just a little bit some sideways action towards the later parts of the day, afternoon. You didn't get a whole lot of play there. Oxy, did you guys look at Oxy yesterday? I mean, this drop here on Oxy, a little rough start, that's okay. Settles down nicely, and just look at the way this thing goes all the way down to 68. Finds a beautiful base here. Not a double bottom, but you can clearly see the buyers are stepping in here, and then rallies up real nice there into that 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock time frame. So pretty good stuff there. Just a nice deep cut down there and right back up. So pretty good on Oxy. And this is what we talk about, right? Oxy can put in a very bad pre-market activity and still give you a good trading day. We saw that yesterday. Here's APS. APS, this thing it wasn't great. I didn't like the price action on it, but you did get a beautiful drop here. If you were looking at this one, AMD and Apple were the ones for me yesterday. Okay, so that's what we had. Norm, let's take a look at the overall market and what's happening there.
Yeah, we had a good amount of data drop this morning. One thing that came out about 15 minutes before we came on was the ADP employment report for May. The number was substantially lower than the number expected, of hiring for the month of May in the private workforce. So should be interesting. We'll see how the report comes out tomorrow morning when we have non-farm payrolls from the government. Other than that, for the rest of the day, we've had initial jobless claims, continuing claims at 8:30. Hasn't done a whole lot to the market, really, along with productivity revisions and unit labor cost revisions. 10 a.m. factory orders and core capital goods orders revision. I cannot talk today. and 1 o'clock Cleveland Fed president speaking. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Yep, absolutely. Should be interesting to say the least. Let's see what we have this morning in our gappers list today. So coming over here, guys.
A little bit better than yesterday.
Yesterday was brutal.
Not much. Yeah, it was a brutal gappers list.
I agree 100%, man. It was not looking pretty today. At least it looks a little bit better. I did go through this already lightly, so we'll go through it a little more in detail. But yeah, yesterday, if you look at our watch list, I mean, we just watched everything that we're used to watching: Apple, AMD, Nvidia, Tesla. These are not stuff that we actually. A few of these were not even on our gappers list, to be honest. These were. I don't think. Right.
What Andrew traded Salesforce.
Yes, which did amazing. I mean, this stock doesn't move much, but yesterday was definitely in play, and it traded very well. So you can see that there. Yeah, let's take a look here, guys. So we have a couple of things on deck, a little bit in the green, some stuff in the red. Let's hop over to what's going on there this morning. So I'm going to remove our watch list from here. Control A, Control X gets rid of the symbols, and we can put in new tickers. RPTX this morning, it is up 25%, so a nice pop there. Man, not looking pretty here on the charts though. So once we look under the hood, let me make sure I'm looking at the right thing. That's a little bit better than what I was looking at. I had it over at the market close. A little bit better. Still not great, guys. 969,000. Flow for this is 29. So not a low flow, but a little bit on the lower side. Norm, any good news on this RPTX?
Yeah, they announced a collaboration with Roche Pharmaceuticals on a cancer treatment of some sort, I believe, for some certain type of tumor or something. So that's their catalyst today.
Yeah, that type of news always scares me because these things will get hot and then they'll get cold so fast. So just be careful. I don't like this catalyst. I don't like the way some of these candles are forming right now. This could get better later on. Yeah, I'm gonna skip on it for now, guys. Let's hope we find something a little bit better. CHWY up 17.2, and this stock Chewy is a hit or miss, man. It can do really good, but I think more often than not it trades horrible. That's just my opinion, right? Based on the times I looked at it. We're up 17% this morning. Looks like earnings after hours last night here.
Earnings last night, correct.
So we'll put them as a possible. Their daily looks interesting too. You're getting a little bit of a pop there. It's just not enough volume though. That's the one thing. The last 2 days we've seen a slight increase. Let's see if that amounts to anything. I'm going to add a Chewy here on our secondary list and we'll come back to it. Next, we have PAF. So PAF this morning up 10%, 120,000 right now. It just doesn't look good. No. We need some action here, guys. This is not great. Let's go down to red box this morning. Norma, unless you tell me there's some kind of catalyst that's worth putting on there.
They had earnings last night, but I agree with what you're saying. It's not the greatest.
Not the greatest at all. Here's Redbox, and again, this stock is on our list like every morning. And how did it trade yesterday? I didn't keep it on the list. Let's take a quick look here. Very similar to everything else. Very similar to Oxy. So you could have had better stocks that traded this same way here. I don't know, guys. 178,000. I know you cannot put a lot of weight in the pre-market on this one because look at it yesterday, right? And again, I did not watch this price action, so I don't know how clean that was. But did nothing in the morning and still managed to go from 690 to about 510 and back up to 6. So you got some pretty decent moves here. I just don't know how clean they were. Maybe a possible. I mean, there's no volume today, but again, we have to kind of wait for the market open. Heading down, we have FCX, which we have not looked at in some time. This used to be on our list quite often. This morning, they're up 3%, 356,000. So you got a little bit of volume there. Their dailies all over the place at the moment. I'm not sure. Could be interesting. FCX. Billy. Let's take a look at Billy this morning. They haven't done much. I mean, they keep gapping up with no volume, and they just really don't get going. So I'm not sure about Billy here. Sell off yesterday. I won't give them too much credit for this because we had the whole market kind of doing this, right? So you can't give them too much props for that. I want to come back to it though. Let's see if this gets better. I doubt it, but let's give it a shot. GFI down up 2.8, 450,000. Not liking this one either. Let's head on down to Ford. What do we got going on for Ford today? For this morning, not a significant increase in volume from what they usually do, right? They trade heavy volume, as you guys know. They are up 2%. So do they have any news? Do you know, Norm, on
The
Ford?
CEO, I don't know where he said this, but he said that, quote, "We're sharing some exciting news today about jobs, new products, and our latest investment in America's workforce." So that has gotten them to pop up this morning. Don't know exactly what's going to happen with that.
Yeah, I know some of you guys like trading this one. I'm not a huge fan. There was a time not so long ago where we, Norm, you and I missed some good opportunities on Ford because they trade like we never seen before. I don't expect that to happen with that type of catalyst, but we'll see. All right, let's head on over here. Gap down list AI this morning, gapping down 19.7, 874,000. Pre-market activity is looking, very active as of now. I'm not sure. Have you ever traded this before? AI down 90%.
I have not traded it. It's been on our watch list.
It has.
Yeah, it has. This is believe it or not, an AI software company. With that name, how would you know?
Yeah.
They've been on a steady decline. This thing was up on 175, 180 bucks the beginning of last year. Everybody's been talking about AI for the last couple of years. Apparently, they're not doing it right because they're down bigly from that. So they had earnings last night, and that is their catalyst.
All right, so nice drop for them this morning. Again, we don't watch this or trade it enough to see, how this catalyst is going to react today. I don't think it's going to be anything great, though. I'm going to keep it off my list, guys. If you guys see something good happening there, throw it back out to me. We'll look at it again. But right now, just don't expect that to do anything fun. CPE is another one that's not looking all that great right now. Down 7.5, 313,000. So I'll put it on the side for now. BHP, this is a big drop for them. They're down. Sorry, is it a drop or pop? What are we doing here? I'm showing up 3.8. What is going on in this area?
Are you having chart confusion? Doesn't matter. It sucks.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
This is a mining company based in Australia. I'm not trading it with my worst enemy's account.
Yeah, I agree. It's just funky the way it's, we're down here, but we're gapping up at just whatever. Let's leave that alone. Let's look at MGI today. They are down 6.1 this morning, 472,000. And could be interesting. I never don't recall. Magnolia. Oh yeah, oil. We've seen this before. Yeah, we've seen that. Not sure, guys. I don't think this is going to trade very well. I remember this ticker now. Oil stuff. I look at Oxy, which again, incredible movements yesterday. This pre-market activity is looking better than most days for Oxy today. So you're getting a lot of activity right now. 360,000 shares traded. They're down 1.1. Oxy looks pretty decent today. Let's add that on the list. We're looking at OWL, OWL this morning, and no, I don't see anything good. Looks very light on volume. Pre-market activity is not showing me anything exciting here, so let's skip on down to PARA, and that is not looking exciting at all. Man, oh man, oh man. All right, Norm, what do you got on your end that you like this morning?
I'll throw two out. GameStop reported last night.
That's right.
Not much of a move so far, but you never know with this one, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And then Facebook, which Enrico mentioned a minute ago, correct? The COO is stepping down. I think it takes effect in October. That news broke about 30 to 40 minutes prior to the market close yesterday.
Yeah.
And it dropped pretty substantially, regained about half the move down. But she has been credited with a big part of what's transpired in that company since she's been there since, I think, 2008.
Yeah, she's been there for a while. That I know. Man, just nothing positive for Facebook in the last couple of months, huh? Everything is just
positive about Facebook.
Yeah, everything's been just all negative. So, and we're seeing that obviously in the charts here, just continuous gap down and sell off. So let's see how that's going to react. Again, this thing has sold off so much already. I'm not sure if we're going to get huge drops, but I think it'll be interesting to watch anyway. So Facebook on deck. GameStop could be very explosive. we'll keep an eye on that also. All right, let's take it to the room and see what you guys have. Ron, we looked at our secondary offering. Yeah, so that's even a worse situation there for them. Sam, you're giving us, oh no, it's not Sam, Abby, you're giving us a PLTR. Let's take a look at PLTR this morning. PLTR right now, no, not doing a whole lot, pretty much flat, 190,000 shares traded. So again, I like this one when you're getting really, really high volume pre-market. Outside of that, I really keep it off the list. They can still trade very well, but for the most part, I want to see something great in the pre-market. NEO has 970,000. Their pre-market action is looking better than most of the stuff out there. So I think it's worth adding to the list. Look at yesterday's action, by the way, too. Going all the way to 19, then right back down to 17. How did that trade? This kind of did the opposite of what every other stock was doing, right? Other stocks sold off and came back up. This one went up and then came back down. That's nice, actually. So pretty good stuff there in NEO. Yeah, let's keep it on here. This daily does look interesting. This is a big rejection of 19, by the way. So not sure what that's going to mean for them, but we'll add NEO to the list this morning. Nvidia and Tesla, we'll take a look at these here. Nvidia, not looking great right now, but we know Nvidia, Apple, I'm probably going to have on my list again. If I look at Apple this morning, I'm definitely throwing that one on there. Let's take a look at AMD, which is another favorite of ours. Again, all of these not doing a whole lot, very similar to each other, plus whatever the SPY and the Qs are doing, right, off the daily. So just going to keep Apple today. I'm not going to stack up with AMD and everything else. I will put them as a possible, so there can be some good stuff there. AMD and Nvidia, we'll put those there. All right, heading down, TWLO. We have not looked at that one in some time. They are down 4.3 this morning. Not great volume, but typically they don't trade very well. This is a decent gap for them today. What do they have going on? TWLO, no earnings. That's done already. So, but that seems a little bit more than usual. These guys don't move. They barely move. So that could be interesting.
They got a downgrade.
Okay.
Out of Barclays.
All right, that could be. Yeah, that's a known company, not something that we haven't heard of. So maybe that could be something. But we'll have to wait for the market open. They don't trade a whole lot of volume in the pre-market. So TWLO, I'm going to add it to the secondary list. Usual suspects, yeah, I agree. The usual suspects are Apple, Nvidia, AMD, Tesla, NEO. Yeah, that's what's going to be on deck today. Next, the Qs, absolutely. Keep an eye on the Qs and the SPY. PLTR was, oh, gotcha. Okay, you're just answering a member. Yeah, so PLTR, yeah, I didn't add it on the list. Didn't look great, so that makes sense. Michael, SGA, or do you mean SIGA? Oh, you did correct yourself. SIGA at the bottom there. SIGA, pretty much flat right now. They got 630,000. They've been all over the place. Look at this chart here, guys. It's been up and down, up and down. They're what seems to be consolidating around this 1250. They like this area, looks like. So let's see what happens here. It can go either way. I know they have some good positive news, and that has been, increasing their volume substantially for what they were doing before, basically nothing, as you can see here. We'll have to wait and see. Yeah, possible. We'll have to wait and see on this one. Very careful, guys. Very risky stock. You want to be cautious with that one. Snap.
Let's see what out the last few minutes. Ford has been dumping all of its gains. It's no longer on the gappers list, which it had been. I guess they came out and they said what they're going to say.
Yeah. It's interesting. No, again, possible here. Probably not going to do anything today, guys. Who knows? Snap this morning. Snap is on the heading down here, sold off the last 2 days. Pre-markets, again, not looking exciting. Maybe at the market open this can do something. It definitely looks better than some of the other secondary stuff I have here. So I will move something around and keep Snap to see if we're gonna get some new lows there. AMC, yeah, let's see what AMC is doing here. AMC, a couple of sell-off days here. Is the fun over? Are we going back down to 1050? Volume right now very light, but AMC could be interesting. This could be the sleeper for today. So we'll put AMC on here and see how that goes. All right, guys, we got a pretty decent list. Well, not decent. We got an okay list for this morning. Let's take a look at over on YouTube what we have, guys. So we have Nvidia, not what we like it, or AMD. Let's see what else we have. Is MU. So your question is, MU low relative beta compared to a sector constitutes continuance of Nvidia and AMD. You know, they used to move very close. I don't know what changed in AMD, probably like a year and a half ago. I'm sorry, what changed on MU, but it doesn't move as aggressive as Nvidia and AMD does, right? If you've been with us long enough,
kind of be the sleepy one. MU was the 2018, 2019. It was MU was the mover.
Yeah. If you guys been with us long enough,
like on the watch list every morning, just about.
That's right. So something's changed there about a year and a half ago, or maybe more, and it's not the same. So we don't keep it on the list anymore like we used to. Let's see here what we got going on. RPTX we looked at. We do have RPTX on the list. No, we don't.
Mr.
We do
T
not
is
have
correct. MU was the shizzle.
Yes, it was on our list every day, guys. On AMD, if you were able to get, what was it, like 30 cents, 20 cents, you know, you were golden. You were Lambo status. But now it's completely the opposite. RPTX, we did look at that. I guess I didn't put it on here. I didn't like it. Let's look. RPTX. The overall catalyst on this, I don't know, man. It is in play, don't get me wrong, but for the way I trade,
but the way those candles are is a little funky.
It is. I don't like that at all. And the daily too. If you look at the daily, now I know today you have more volume than you usually do. I mean, this thing barely trades 100,000, if that. So you have a little more volume. So it is in play. I'm just not a fan of what I'm seeing here on this one. And it's not explosive volume neither. Like if it was a low flow, which this one is only 29. If it was a lower flow and then you have some explosive volume, some really good candles here, maybe. I just don't like this here at all. Carlos drank too much coffee this morning. I drank it all black today.
Seem like you're talking. Oh, is that it?
I did, but I don't feel like I'm talking too fast today. I usually can get going pretty good.
You are from New York.
That's true. That is true. Sleeper list today. Yep. I agree. Main list, secondary list. I agree, man. It's not a great one, but we always find something to trade, right? CRM was great yesterday. The tech companies are always going to be good. So we have Apple here, and our secondaries are going to be, Nvidia and AMD. Cool. One more here that we get to announcements. MDB. What is this? Simple Trader. MDB. MongoDB. Yeah, I'm not sure what this is, but pre-market is not looking great. Their daily barely gets any volume, so I'm concerned that this is not going to be a good one, and the spread might be a little bit aggressive. Again, it will get better at the market open, but I don't think by much based on this volume here. So I see what you're looking at. Nice base here, possibly a continuation towards 300. If this is your style of trading, you could definitely add it to the list. All right, guys, let's get to our community events and announcements, see what's going on there, and then we will come back and fine tune this list. And if we have more time, I see you guys throwing out some more tickers. We'll look at those as well.
All right. Starting next Monday, 2-part book map series with Kyle, 8 p.m. each week. On Tuesday, next week, you've got Peter talking about the Rising Devil, Fallen Angel. And then Dr. Kenneth Reed's webinar should be posted very soon if it's not already. And then next week, 5 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday, you've got Creta talking about the art of setting goals. Mentorship today at 11 with John, 4 with Ed, 8 with Thor. I keep getting messed up, man. I'm not used to the 4-day week. I keep thinking it's the wrong day and whatnot. It makes it difficult to get through these. StockTradingSimulator.com. Go check it out. It's our free web-based trading simulator. And if you're watching on YouTube, haven't tried out the chat, go to BearbullTraders.com. You can scroll down about halfway down the room and try a week in the room, 7 calendar days, 5 trading days. Use the promo code PreMarket24 to get a discount off that.
All right. Thank you very much, Norm.
No commitment. It does not auto-renew.
Yes. Yep.
Absolutely.
Hate that stuff, man. Hate it. So we don't do it. All right. So MDB is a database. Okay. Gotcha. Cool. Yeah. These database companies, they're not, they don't move a whole lot, right? So MongoDB here, Mongo database makes perfect sense. So yeah, I mean, the daily looks interesting. So if you're looking to, to keep an eye on this maybe, but for the most part, for active trading, it can be brutal today. So the volume for Norm seems lower today. Yeah, let us know about that, because we can make adjustments here on our end. If one of us is louder than the other, we try to keep them the same. So always shoot me a little message like that. We'll even that out for you guys, so you guys are not we're not blowing out your ears. Okay, here we go. Let's get to it. Watch list for today. We have Oxy, GameStop, Facebook. News yesterday of their COO that's been there since forever. I think had a big part in what's going on there with Facebook and some of their previous success. Is stepping down, so that's not good for them. Neo is on deck here, Apple, and we have AMC. So let's get to some levels. So we'll start with the bottom here, since I have AMC already up this morning. Nice run up here for a couple of days, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the rejection of 16 coming right back down. So this was caused by the movie Top Gun. A lot of people getting back into the theaters because what they did with that movie obviously is only in theaters. So it's a hot one, getting great reviews, so it's dragging people back out there, and it's doing well. So 1167, a great level towards the bottom here, below of the previous day close, and then obviously all the way down here at 1030, you got a very nice level, a nice double bottom there. Every time we got into that point, we seen some support on AMC. In between here, this is I wouldn't put too much weight on this, but you got a couple of days, slamming against this 1338, might be 1340, but if you draw a line right on here, you can see a couple of days opening, closing right around that area. So that could be interesting if we do decide to head a little lower here. Our low of our pre-market is actually a few cents from the previous day close. It's right over here. I'm not going to mark that. I'm not going to worry too much about that right now. I'm going to focus on these two levels, which is the previous day close, and you have, this is the low from yesterday, and even the highs for a couple of days here, right? This whole area has a lot of support right in here. So a lot of resistance, some support as well. I think that's going to be more important than that 1273, which is your low of your pre-market. Now, if you already have it preloaded where it marks down the low of the pre-market, that's fine as well. If you want to mark it, you can do that also. Towards the top here, we do have our high of our pre-market sitting at 1312. Slamming level right on this, so that's good. And then above that, guys, I think you're set. I mean, everything as far as the last two trading days, highs and lows here, doing a pretty good job. Also, those are being confirmed by daily candles towards the left here, so I think you're set in that area. Let's take a look at Apple this morning. I mean, just talk about consolidating here for the last three days or so. We're just stuck between the highs and lows of the last two trading days. Where's our previous day close here? Oh, the line is right on it. So it's right on the red line, which is also the low for, what's this, for 2 days ago or something. So again, no, that's the price action line. So the price is right on it at the moment. So pretty much literally flat right now on Apple. So will be interesting. As far as levels, I'm just going to mark down the high of the pre-market at the moment. That's going to be 149.70, and then the rest could stay the same. I don't think you need to add anything else at the moment. Let's see if we can break out of this range. Might not happen today. Again, short week. I think the volume has been slightly lighter. You could tell some of these tickers, although yesterday we had some ones that ran pretty well. Let's see how things go for Apple today. And in keeping Apple in mind, or watching Apple, I'm going to keep in mind the AMDs of the world, the Nvidias here, and any other tech companies, right? We'll be looking at the Qs, we'll be looking at the SPYs to see how that trades. And for the most part, these trade hand in hand with the overall market, right? They don't have their own catalyst at the moment to swing them one way or the other. We left off at Apple. That's good. Next, we're looking at Neo. Let's look at yesterday's action just one more time if you missed it. What a beautiful pop here we had on Neo. Got extended for the 5 minute, ran really nice, and then came right back down to where it opened up. So this is why you have these hammer-like candle towards the downside, great rejection of 19. Is this going to start some momentum towards the downside, right? We've seen some resistance here in the past, or are we going to hold here as support? That's the question for them this morning. They do have amazing volume and picking up here nicely the last couple of minutes. So as far as levels, you're kind of stuck between the highs and lows of the last two trading days. Your high of your pre-market a little bit outside of the range there at 1808, so we'll mark that there. And then outside of that, this area is just stuck with a bunch of levels, highs and lows, prior resistance on the daily as well, as you can see here. Let's focus a little bit towards the bottom. You have your low of your 2 days ago right on here, and that is also showing a resistance here and a little bit of support, actually not a little bit, great support here. If you move to the left. Below that, you're now looking at roughly 1570, so that's pretty far out, but you definitely got a very nice level there as well. You can find some midpoint levels in here. I'm not going to do that just now. I would love to see this breakdown from that previous day close and this high from 2 days ago, and if it does that, then we'll look into here for some possible levels that we can find. But at the moment, let's see what it does. Let's see if it can get back to that previous day close, or are we going to find some kind of support here. Here is Facebook. Again, big news yesterday for them, and you saw the drop right away from 193 all the way down to 185. Did recover quite a bit there this morning. So today we're pretty much flat, trying to figure out, what's the next move for Facebook. It could just be some sideways action. I think they are going to get some volume today off that news. 190.87 high of the pre-market, the low of the pre-market slightly lower than the PCL. We're looking at 187.95, and if we move over to the left here, find some levels just in case. Again, I just don't think we're going to get some kind of movement off that news. This thing has been beat up so bad already. I don't know if anything can make it worse. I think probably the market is going to have a more of a reaction to Facebook. I think yesterday they did what they did, and I think the market will be a better indicator of where this thing is going to go today. So let's keep an eye on that. Unless something else drops on some news there, we'll be watching. Neo, good volume. We are set here. Didn't we just set? I went the other way. I set the volume for these already. I mean the levels. What do we have? High of the pre-market. That's all we needed on here. High of the pre-market. Let's put that back. There we go. That is set. Facebook is good. GameStop, we need levels here. This one, again, ran up pretty nice there. They had earnings last night, so you did get a little bit of an action there. But we're opening up pretty much flat today. So not gapping up or down by much. Down 1.2, which is not a whole lot at the moment. So let's see. Stuck between the highs and lows of the last 2 trading days here, previous day close, and a low here as well. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see if the volume is going to come in on this one. We know this can be very, very explosive. So we'll put 112 here. We got a little bit of support. Some resistance, not quite. It's a little bit above the 112, probably 115 maybe, but we'll mark that there just in case, and we'll see where this goes today. We need some volume. This actually is a good possible for today, but let's just get through the list first. Here's Oxy. Oxy, again, this pre-market action looks more active than most. For the most part, you're not seeing a great pre-market activity, but today you already have 421,000. And if you saw the action yesterday, I mean, this thing had a huge drop and bounced back up nicely of 68. So we're heading down here a little bit today. We're down 1.4. It will be interesting to see how Oxy trades today. I think Oxy, again, you can't put too much weight on the pre-market. You just have to kind of wait and see how things are going to turn around here. We are 70.19 is the high of the pre-market. And once you slam that there, I mean, you're pretty much set towards the top, right? Nice area of resistance here with the previous day close. Yeah, we had a big gap up here, up to 74, but look at the rejection here coming right back down to this range again. So a tighter range the last couple of days, right? Before in the past, we had a nice big range there. So a little bit tighter right now. Let's see if that's going to swing up or down. But for the moment, sitting pretty tight there. And I'm going to mark down 67.55 in case we do get some kind of drop like we did yesterday. Again, that was a nice big drop and recovery right away. So we'll mark that there to be ready for that. So that is Oxy. And we are set. That is our watch list, my friends. Let's take a quick look at our secondary list. We have SIGA on here, which again has been really active. I'm not sure what this wants to do. We'll keep an eye on it. TWOO dropping down. This is a nice drop for them. They're not going to look great pre-market, but they will get the volume at the market open. So we just got to sit tight on this. Chewy, it does have a decent pre-market activity, and actually right now looking much better than GameStop. So I'm going to move GameStop because I know some of you guys will be watching that already, and you are going to call it out. But I'm going to put our friend here, TWLO, on our list. we'll replace that with GameStop, because I think not TWO, CHWY, Chewy. We'll put Chewy on the list here, and we'll replace, we'll put TWLO down here again. And we'll see what happens there. Right now, 1.4 volume starting to look real nice after the last time we looked at this. So definitely like what's happening there at the moment. Red box getting a little bit of a pop here. Could be a good possible. FCX not looking any better, so we'll remove this from the list. Billy, we're getting some stuff happening on Billy. People dropping some volume here. 33,000 in this trade, and let's see if that does anything. Ford, right back to the previous day close, so pretty much flat right now. And again, 1 million shares traded on Ford is not a lot, so I'm going to remove it right now. It's not gapping up or down. And for the most part, AMD and Nvidia are my secondary stuff for Apple there. And then we have Snap just in case we get something going, but really that's a sleeper for today. I don't see anything happening at the moment. Okay, we are all set, guys. That's the watch list for today. Moderators will be coming out with their watch list shortly. Let's get to some questions. Let's do that. I know yesterday we had a question. I think it was Aaron. Was it Aaron? Let me see if I find this question. Aaron, if you're, I think it was on YouTube. If you're in chat, I'm gonna get to your questions. Carlos, do you can you do levels for Chewy? Oh, we did it. Thanks, man. Good call out, Ben. Levels for Chewy, we're gonna mark it here. We're gonna mark down 26.81, so that's good. And then towards the top, we're gonna mark down 28.41. That is your highs and lows of the pre-market at the moment. You can see it's a lot of action here, by the way. A lot of stuff happening here. You can see that the resistance this thing has had here hasn't been doing very well too. How has this stock been performing? Not all that great, at least this year. Definitely not all that great. Okay, so towards the bottom, pretty much set highs and lows last two trading days, previous day close, doing good stuff there. Let's focus towards the top side. We do have a level here at 30.39. That's a good one, right? Do you see the sell-off coming down here, finding support there, and then we consolidate around this level, using that as the top end in most days here. So that's a good one. 39.40 might actually be the number. And then right up here we have another one over at 32.64. Nice area of resistance. You can see that playing very well there. So we got some pretty good levels on the daily for Chewy here, and the volume is starting to come in, heading down towards that low of the pre-market that we set very early on. Let's see if that's going to mean anything for Chewy today. So yeah, looks good. I definitely like this one better. It's below its IPO. Oh man, yeah. Wasn't Chewy like $300 way back when? Oh, okay, one something. What was their IPO price? I don't think it's below the IPO. We got some. Oh well, yes. No, you are right. You're correct. Yes, the IPO is over here, man. Oof. It's rough waters for Chewy. All the way up to 120. And when was this? This was in 2020 October. It looks like August timeframe. So I guess this is pet stuff, right? What is Chewy? Is this pet food? Do I got that right? I know this sounds like a pet company. I think I seen the commercial. Online pet, yeah. So people are not buying food for their pets or going somewhere else. Not good. Okay, perfect. Yeah, Aaron. So Aaron B had a question yesterday, and I get this question quite a bit. His question was, Carlos, when you look at the pre-market downtrend or uptrend, is that an indicator to go short or long for you, or you just look at the direction and get confirmation first? Yeah. So guys, yeah, the pre-market is not going to tell you, it's not going to give you any indication whether it's going to be long or short. It might give you some signs that the stock is strong, but we seen stuff happen. Like who was it yesterday? Who gapped up? It was AMC. Oh, AMC. Look at AMC here a couple of days ago. This was 2 days ago, right? Gapped up huge. Pre-market was all strong. And then at the market open was just a complete sell-off. So with the pre-market, there's some information you can pull off, but you can never say, because this pre-market is strong, the stock is going to be strong. It just doesn't play out that way. There has to be a lot more confirmation that's done at the market open. And we see that quite a bit where things open up. Was Oxy another one that also gapped up huge? There it is. Pre-market was extremely strong, gapped up nicely. And the entire day was a short. Right. So all weakness for the most part. So, it gets extended. People start looking at 73 that probably been in since 66. They start taking profits. Some people think, you know what, this is way too high. It's going to come down. We're going to get a pullback. We rallied for the last 5 days. There's so many things that are happening in the market, and people are thinking differently, or maybe the demand is, there's no demand at 70, 73, 75, right? You got tons of supply here. Well, guess what? Now we're going to come back down and find that demand. So many things that can happen. You cannot just go off the pre-market action. You got to look at other indicators. And this is why you have to have a few indicators, not just one. For example, you cannot just trade off the level 2. Right, you got to look at the charts. You got to look at the volume. You got to look at this, maybe the SPY. In this situation, I definitely would look at the SPY unless there's a serious, strong catalyst for that ticker. You got to look at the SPY, right? And preferably, I would not want to go against whatever the SPY is doing if it's doing it aggressively, right? If the SPY is kind of trending down and not really, or trending up and not really pushing things with it, it's not important. If it's moving sideways and you have a stock that's doing its own thing, that's completely fine. But if you have the SPY, the Qs, like aggressively selling off, I'm probably not going to want to go long on something if I'm getting a signal, right? It's going to be very, very rare in this type of market condition that I want to do that. In the past, in regular market conditions where the SPY was not moving, 2% a day, you can easily just, disregard that a little bit. But now everything is so market heavy that you got to be careful to not go against the SPY in certain situations, right? Obviously, this does not apply for everything, and you got to be look at every individual stock and see what indicators, what signs you're getting for a possible long or short position. So, thanks for the question there yesterday. Anything else we have here? Any other questions that we might have? I saw some in chat. Let's go over here. Got a couple of minutes. Carlos, were you supposed to give a webinar on how to use the scanners? I was supposed to give a webinar? No, I'm sure I gave a webinar. That should be in the education center already on how to use the scanner. So it kind of explains all the 19 scanners that we have, by the way. Can we switch to that? Let me see if I can show you guys. We got a minute or two. For those new traders in our community and for those that are not in our community. So this is what the scanners look like, right? So they're starting to populate now. There's about 19 scanners here. My favorite ones, guys, is over here. Turbo breakup and turbo breakdown. These are really nice for the opening range breakdown and breakup. This is what I look in the morning, right? There's a lot of stuff here, but if anything pops up here that's not on my list, that means it's getting significant volume. I want to see what's going on there. So guys, for those that are new, or if you're not a member yet, you do get access to these scanners every morning from Trade Ideas. So you can come in here, click on the BBT scanners, and you'll get access to this. So pretty neat. And there's about 20 here or so. I have a webinar explaining all of these. And for the most part, this one seems new. I don't remember explaining that one. But for the most part, all of these I explain, go through them, and how you can use them to find opportunities. So that should be in the Education Center. Definitely take a look at that webinar. If you don't find it, let me know. Send me an email, carlos@bearbootraders.com, and I'll get that for you. We'll make sure that's straightened out, but it should be there. Robbie, you couldn't find it? Yeah, it should be on that should be a tech class, not a strategy one. Because Gap, scanners more like tech stuff. So let me know if you don't find it, shoot me an email on the tech side. Check the tech stuff. If you don't find it, let me know and I'll get it to you. I look at those scanners. I look at that scanner the minute the market is open. I just kind of peek over, see if there's anything that's hitting it quite often. Today, if you get a chance, look at it and see if there's a stock that's hitting it with volume. And if it appears quite often, then usually that stock has some momentum to it. And you also, again, guys who've been trading for some time, or at least if you haven't, you will, once you stick around here long enough, that you're going to learn the ticker names that are really good and the ones that are really bad. So there might be a ticker there that's popping up that might be, I don't know, APPS. And I've just picked that. I think APPS was a bad one this week, right? APPS, yeah, this doesn't look good. If this comes up, that ticker doesn't trade very well. But if you see like a Twitter, if you see like an Oxy, you see an Apple, you see a AMC, and they're not on your list, and that's something you definitely want to take a look at and see, okay, what can we take advantage of here, right? There's going to be some stuff that's not worth looking at, and that's just what it is. All right, guys, we are all set. Let's take a look at our moderators lineup here, see what we have going on. We have Dima, we have Megan, Susan, Thor, on deck already. Peter, let's see what our friends are looking at. Over on YouTube, as I'm doing this to bring this over to your screen, hit that thumbs up. We appreciate it very, very much. And before you leave, we want to make sure you guys have an amazing trading day today. So let's disable this here. I'll bring this over and let's see what our friends are looking at here today. So bring it down here. Brian coming in with his list. Nice. We'll read that out in just a second. And here we go, friends. So we have Dima's looking at Chewy, Oxy, AMD, and Apple. Megan, Nvidia, Neo, and Apple. Susan loves Tesla, Facebook, SQQs, Chewy, and Oxy. Thor will be looking at Chewy, Microsoft, Oxy, and as usual, the Pivot Alert box. Bot. So definitely want to check that out. And is that the same name on Thor on Twitter? So if you're not following that on Twitter, you can follow at Pivot Alert Bot, and you can also get alerted on those tweets. Peter will be looking at AMD, Apple, Chewy, secondary list, Oxy, GameStop, and APRN, and Brian, which will be trading live with you, and Andrew in just a second. Chewy, AI, Microsoft, and the Qs, S and T's here. These are both levers, so be very careful with those. But those are there that will be looking at the overall market today. So, guys, thank you so much over on YouTube. We appreciate you guys joining with us. We know you have options. You hanging out here with us, definitely it means a lot to us. So thank you for that. And we will see you guys tomorrow, Friday, to end the short week. Let's see how things are going to end. So far, the SPY after rough waters, after a great week last week, which is kind of going sideways today. So we might just end sideways this week. Let's see how things play out tomorrow. Unless we get some surprise today and tomorrow. Still a lot of time left, guys. Guys, take care, trade safe. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Remember, tomorrow morning is at 8:30. There is no engineering the markets over on YouTube, but maybe I'll come on a little early and hang out with you guys. We'll see how it goes.